I'm Debbie Godfrey. Welcome to the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast.
So I picked up one of my favorite parenting books of all time, and it's Rudolf Dreikur's The Challenge of Parenthood. And it was written in 1948. And it's so funny because I'm sitting here reading this, and even though some of his language is kind of outdated, he was really a man before his time, because even now, 60 years later, this information, it really hasn't been grasped, I don't feel, by the general population, and it really isn't outdated. It still is ahead of its time. So I'm going to spend, a while going through the chapter I'm looking at right now is called The Most Common Mistakes in Child Training, and I'd like to go through these and kind of put my own words and my own spin on some of these topics. Like some of the common mistakes we make are nagging, fault finding, extracting promises, excessive talking, and all of these are things that many of us do and don't realize how much they undermine our parenting. But for today, I just want to read some of his introduction into this chapter, because I'm just reading this really cracking up. And first he talks about, that parents can't avoid making mistakes. We all know that. We try our best, but aren't always able to kind of do what we'd like to do. And he also talks about how none of us are perfect. And if we try to get perfection from ourselves, then it just discourages us more. And we have to accept our children and everybody else, really, despite their imperfections, if we want to get along with them and improve faults. The same is true for our own lives. And we can only improve if we accept our own shortcomings, make peace with ourselves, and then ask ourselves where we're going to go from here. So it's his secondly that I'm going to actually read some of this verbatim because it's just so fun. The present difficulties of parenthood, which we discussed previously, make it almost impossible for any contemporary parents to find an adequate solution for their educational task. Now, he's talking contemporary 1948, and I found this is very true even now with parenting.
Look, Bumble knows you're exhausted by dating. All the must not take yourself too seriously and 6'1" since that matters. And what do I even say other than, hey? Well, that's why they're introducing an all-new Bumble, with exciting features to make compatibility easier, starting the chat better, and dating safer. They've changed, so you don't have to. Download the new Bumble now.
The best way to act correctly is to avoid acting incorrectly. If you are looking for the proper answer to a difficult educational problem, you will find it helpful to first stop and think of what you should not do. And I was just laughing thinking about this, because one of my things is to give parents what to do's, but he really makes a lot of sense. If we have some certain guidelines as what not to do, that really does help us in terms of responding, because it eliminates certain things from our repertoire. So we don't, we know we're not going to go towards certain types of discipline. So then he goes to say, then what you do will be all right. It's very much easier to point out and define a mistake because errors are always specific. The correct answer to a problem can be found in many different ways. Consequently, an explicit, constructive suggestion may be restrictive, as it may prevent you from seeking other preferable solutions. And I found that really interesting, because this to me is creativity in parenting, that in the moment you really have to think it out. You can't just predetermine how you're going to respond all the time. And he's pointing that out here, and I find that really helpful. It is possible to follow advice literally about what not to do, but you cannot be literal about positive suggestions, because correct attitudes depend to a large extent on imponderables, on imagination, sensitivity, emotional attitudes, facial expressions, the tone of voice, and so on. If you learn that it is not good to spank children, you can easily grasp the advice and follow it literally, if you decide. But any specific suggestion for the proper handling of children can be followed literally, and still in a way which is detrimental and offers no solution. For this reason, it seems advisable that you acquaint yourself thoroughly with all the details of wrong techniques. You'll find it profitable to learn what you should avoid doing, but be careful not to be discouraged, because then you could make your worst mistakes. Whatever you do on the basis of discouragement and defeatism, guilt feelings, and frustration is bound to be wrong, regardless of how hard you may try to act correctly. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I'm running out of time. But I guess for today, I want to leave you with looking. You know what you don't want to do, and so for today, just make a conscious effort of noticing all of the situations that you're getting into with your children, and making a mental list of, okay, well, I'm not going to yell, I'm not going to spank, I'm not going to grab their arm and force them, and that'll free you up to be in the creativity and the thought process of, well, what am I going to do instead? And for the rest of this week and maybe even a couple of weeks, I'm going to go through some of these other really fun common mistakes that he talks about for parenting. Have a great day. Happy parenting.
Thank you so much for joining me here at the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast. I assume you're here because you're getting something out of these daily pep talks. And wouldn't it be great if more parents could hear more about these ideas for their children? And you can help me in a great way by liking the episodes, by sharing them on your social media, and especially by providing a review on your platform of choice. So if you could do me a huge favor and do that, it would really help get this out to many, many, many more parents. And we can all help our children feel more seen, heard, and understood, which is my life's work, is to make sure that all children feel loved and appreciated and that we can discipline them without breaking their spirit. So I hope that you've enjoyed these podcasts and will continue to enjoy them. And I really appreciate any support you can give me here at Positive Parenting Pep Talks. Thank you so much. Have a great day and happy parenting.